Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today to discuss Destiny some more. The beta is pretty much over with now. The beta is over with now. It's not pretty much over with, it's completely over with, and a lot of us are awaiting the launch of the game on September 9th. But I had some concerns that I wanted to talk about. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows in the beta. There was definitely some things that bothered me that I wanted to discuss, and there was also some recent pieces of news that were sort of revealed to us by Bungie themselves, including talk of raids, nightlies, and also the actual size of the worlds and the size of the maps, and the fact that we will only be seeing one actual playable location for each of the planets that exist in the world of Destiny. So I had some concerns. I mean, as someone who is a huge fan of what Bungie has done in the past year, someone who has, my roots, were with growing up with Halo games, growing up with what Bungie has done in the past. So I'm going to be, heavy on them. I expect a lot out of them, as many people do. I expect them to deliver the best and to deliver what they've promised and nothing less than that. Of course, a lot of that comes down to individual expectation, but there's still some hard-hitting facts that we now know that have me slightly concerned, and I wanted to talk about those concerns, and at the same time I want to talk about why a lot of the concerns I have are kind of already like fading away because of the time that I spent with the beta. So it's sort of a double-edged sword going on here. But let's talk about two of the newest things that were revealed to us, because I find them very interesting, and they're sort of going to tie in with what I'm going to talk about when I start talking about my concerns for the game. The first one being the nightlies. Nightlies are essentially these daily type quests that you can log on. They're supposed to be relatively difficult, and what they'll do is you play them and you have a chance of earning exotic weapons. So exotic weapons are weapons that have like a specific name. They do certain things like suck life from enemies when you kill them, give you increased reload for headshots, things of that nature. They have a lot of really crazy buffs on them. Some of them might even give you the ability to use a Titan ability or an ability from your Warlock tree while still using another ability in that same tree set. So you might be able to have, two types of attack moves, two types of melee attacks active at one time, or, a residual effect from a melee attack plus an alternate form of that melee attack. If you see how the trees work, you'll understand what I'm saying, but basically it allows you to double up on your skills. So that's sort of the idea of exotic weapons, and I like the idea of nightly, something that you can look forward to hopping on every single day, grabbing some friends. Hey, let's all get on and let's go run those nightlies, see if we can't get ourselves some sweet loot, and then we'll go run the strike mission, and then we'll do a raid. So raids are the newest thing they've talked about. These are 6-person, friends-only challenges, so you cannot matchmake for raids. The idea is raids that are supposed to be complex. They're supposed to be pretty heavy, pretty hardcore. They're going to take you to new places as a group of friends. They don't want it to be randoms. They don't want people, who can't communicate. They want like the best of the best thrown into a group together to try and handle what is going to be these extremely difficult and extremely long missions. Strike missions can take anywhere from, depending on the difficulty, 30 minutes to an hour. But most of the time, if you do them at the right level, if you do them when you're geared well enough and in the position to still earn good gear from those strike missions, it'll probably take you around 35 minutes, they've said. And that was my experience with the initial strike mission in the game. Raids, however, are the sort of thing where you're going to want to like sit down, shut the doors, close the windows, hit the lights, and spend like 2 to 3 or 4 possibly hours with your friends running these raids. Now they're entire areas, and Bungie is saying that they're not going to actually guide the player through them. It's all about the player experience, learning from trial and error as to where they should go within these raids. What is better to tackle first. Maybe we should go here first, take care of this and that. Similar to how raids work in MMOs currently. A lot of raiding is based on, player knowledge that is learned by trial and error. A group of players will go into a raid and they'll try and run one area and they'll realize, that's no good, we need to do this one first, and then we'll do that one, and then we'll go to the final boss. So that seems to be what they're aiming for. These raids also, they talked about jumping puzzles, and then Bungie was also very keen on saying that they're doing something that has never been done before in these raids. And it was very funny because in the interview I read, DJ, their community manager, said, he's like, I'm not trying to be a douchebag. He actually said this. I'm not trying to be a douchebag, and I'm not trying to sound just cool. He's like, but we knew we were doing something completely new when we couldn't go home and look at other games to sort of understand, what we could be doing right and what we could be doing wrong. So we'll see. I'm excited for raids. I'm hoping they're not too much just like FPS with a lot of the same raid concepts that we already see in MMOs. I'm really hoping Bungie has done something new there, but we'll find out. So let's move on to my concerns. And the first one I want to talk about is regarding another type of mission that you can, another group of mission types, another mission type however you want to say it. For those of you who played the beta, when you're in exploration mode, so this is the mode that allows you just to explore any of the planets that you'll be on. In this case, we were on Earth, we were in the Cosmodrome, we were just sort of wandering around, right? There's these little green beacons on the map that you can go over and activate, and they will grant you a mission. The mission is usually faction-related, Dead Orbit, Future War Cult, and it'll give you Vanguard reputation. It'll also give you reputation with that organization, allowing you to, in the future, you know, purchase gear and equipment from them that is special, essentially. Now, the issue with these missions is that they were boring as hell. I hated them. They were the worst part of the beta, and I wanted nothing to do with them. I think the only driving force behind those things is going to be earning reputation for, you know, the Vanguard and for those individual factions. But at the end of the day, it was the one thing I didn't go back to. I maybe did 4 or 5 of them, and then I just ignored them. I hated them. I didn't want anything to do with them. They were dull, they were dreary, and they were just like this. They felt so just thrown into the exploration mode. Like, yeah, just throw these in. We'll let players earn reputation. I mean, I understand why they're there, but I just felt like they could have been done better. Now, it's not to say that maybe they won't get better as time goes on and we move into the different worlds, but they were really, really boring on Earth, and I can't imagine much is going to be changing there. I think it's going to be something the players just kind of going to passively grab. Hey, we're out exploring, let's just grab all these missions and kill things, and we'll get some reputation. But it was disappointing to see that that one element wasn't something I wanted to go back to, because when I look at the strike missions, when I look at the story mode missions that I replayed numerous times over and over on different difficulties, the strike mission that I ran well over 10 times, you know, those were things I wanted to go back to. I had a really good time with them. They were challenging, they were always rewarding, and they were always fun. Those small missions in exploration mode didn't touch any of that criteria. So, I mean, they'll probably stay the way they are. I can't see Bungie doing any massive changes to them, but maybe when the game does launch, they'll start to see that a lot of people aren't doing, or maybe in the beta they saw that they were something that were very rarely touched and they'll tweak them. But to me, they need to be changed. Something needs to happen. They were boring, they were dull, I hate them, and like I said, they were one of the worst parts of the beta for me. Now, the other concern that I wanted to sort of voice here is the size of the world. Now, we know by the time that you finish the story, I believe they said, you'll be about level 20. You still have 10 more levels to go after that, but essentially at level 20, you will have maxed out your ability trees for your Titan. So you'll be good to go on, you know, one of your abilities. Like, it's done. It's maxed. You know, I have the Striker ability tree line for Titan maxed out completely. I can sort of, you know, mix and match how I want now. Throw that in with combinations of gear and just generally start to become a badass. So that's good. You know, the story probably be really interesting, and of course the story is going to lead to the future of Destiny. Destiny is something that is planned for 10 years, we know. They already talked about a Destiny 2 and a Destiny 3 and the idea that you'll be able to carry your characters over and new players will be able to go back to old content. That's all great. That sounds really, really fantastic. But here is where things start to worry me. The size of the maps. So what Bungie has said is that each planet that you go to will have one explorable area. I don't remember this originally being the plan. There was talk of like Chicago on Earth, which doesn't seem to exist anymore, so it seems like we'll only be dealing with the Cosmodrome in old Russia. There was also, if anybody remembers, an E3 demo where one of the developers turned around, looked away from the wall of old Russia and said, all of that over there, you can go explore that. No we can't. You said we could, I'm pretty sure. If I remember correctly, that's exactly what was said. And it seems like that's no longer the case. We don't know what the future will bring, going into the future of Destiny, DLC expansions, but as the game stands, you can't. There's nothing there. It's a dead end. You can't walk. You'll die. You'll fall off the cliff and you'll be killed because it's not part of the actual map. That is disappointing. Now, I'd like to think that I'm completely wrong in saying this and somehow Bungie's just going to change everything when the game launches, but that's what's been said to us, and that leaves me kind of sad. You know, that there's not going to be more to the game. That being said, the beta was one small portion of the game and I spent 30 hours with it. I can't get over that number because it never felt forced. It never felt like I just have to play this because it's going to go away soon. No, I really wanted to. I wanted to play it. My friends wanted to play it. We talked about it. I was reading the Grimoire cards. I was getting involved in the lore. Bungie had created something that I wanted to be a part of. Yet, I still have those concerns. And I hope that they do not impact the final version of what Destiny is. They don't ruin it for me. They don't spoil it for me. Because the last thing I want to do is spend 10-15 hours with the game when it finally releases and just feel, you know, genuinely afflicted and concerned by some of the issues that I've talked about. Hopefully those things, you know, will sort of be a non-issue when the game comes out. And everything else will just be so wonderfully crafted and put together that I'm not concerned that this is all I have on Earth, this is all I have on the Moon, this is all I have on Venus, because each portion of what I've been given is so fantastically done. It's like a very well-crafted small meal. You know, it's not about the quantity of the meal, it's just about how good the portion that was given to you actually is. And I think this is actually a very good sort of thing in some ways. As concerned as I am about the map size, the other side of it could have been they just created this massive world with nothing in it. This is a very common theme these days. Everyone gets really excited when something says it has a very large map. H1Z1, for example, is bragging about how big its map is. This world's going to be huge! That's great. How good is a massive world that is just filled with trees and houses that I have to wander about for hours on end, blindly looting things, you know? Size has become such a big selling point in so many games these days that no one seems to pay attention to the fact that that large map that's so wonderfully huge isn't actually crafted very well, and it's actually very boring and dull, and there's not a lot going on in it. You know, I don't want my game to be like, hey, point A is great, it's going to take me 3 hours to get to point B, but I like point B, and I like point A, but everything in between is crap. You know, I don't want that. I want the game to always be enjoyable. I want every foot, every mile that I cover in my game that I'm experiencing to be a great time. You know, not to be one that's just about passiveness. I don't want it to be a time sink more than anything. That's a very big part of games these days. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, but you have to spend a lot of pointless time and effort. Well, not even effort, just pointless time. Time has to pass for you to earn these things. It's a huge trend in gaming these days, and I hate it. I really, really do hate it. You know, you're not making my experience enjoyable. You're just forcing me to pass time. So, I have concerns. Destiny is definitely by no means a game without flaws. There are issues that I have, the ones that I've stated being, you know, the really biggest ones. Again, a lot of that so overshadowed by just how much good time I have had with the game, though. So, we can only look to the future. We can only look to the final release of Destiny to truly see what the game will hold and how we'll all feel about it at the end of the day. A lot of people have been enjoying the experience. A lot of people I talked to just really had a great time with it, and they can't stop thinking about it because it was fun. It was really damn fun time, the beta. It was the most fun I've had with a game with my friends in a very, 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 very long time. Longer than I can remember. And that is why I'm genuinely excited for the game. That's why the concerns that I've stated here are on borderline with being non-issues. But I'm going to keep them in the back of my head, and when the full game drops, we'll see how that influences my overall opinion of Destiny. Let me know what you guys think about the exploration side of things, the overall size of the maps that we know now that we know about them, and let me know what you think about those exploration missions, the open world ones that you can just grab if you played the game. I really want to know how many people actually enjoyed doing those, how many people went out of their way to continue to do those, and how many people like myself just kind of left them there and said screw it. Let me know in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next one.